Hello, everyone. I was going to say grand rising, but grand afternoon. My name is Sandy. Welcome to the People's Congregation of Shakers and Movers. And this is Yoga with Anna. It's our midweek reset. And I am here with, of course, Anna De Paz and Jody. You want to come a little bit closer? Yes, I have our 420 RN, and Jody and I are back here chilling in the electric lounge, having our midweek reset, which has really couldn't have come at a better time. It's been kind of a wacky week energy wise. I don't know if I'm the only one feeling that. I would have been just as happy to stay in bed all week, but alas, life is what it is, and I haven't been able to do that. But I can take to the mat and I can use my breath, which is always here and free, as a tool to cope and get through it, right? When sometimes it feels a little sticky, murky, and tough. So thank you so much, Anna, for being here for us and for showing up for yourself and for the congregation. We welcome you today. How are you feeling?
Great. I'm so happy to be here. I'm honored always to be here because, like I always say, this is my little sanctuary, and I love coming to the mat here because it's just a comfortable place for us to be. And I love it because it's welcoming and it's grounding and it feels good. And yeah, I think it's going to be, it's always a good practice together. So,
It is, Anna. And yeah. Oh, I just wanted to say really quickly, thank you for your yoga nidra. Again, it was so beautiful. Everybody really, really enjoyed it. And this week for our integrated recovery practices support group, we're going to be making some dude, as they say in Massachusetts. It's going to be wicked cool class. No, Art to Transcend with Jessica. She's a beautiful 200-hour yoga teacher also, has her own way of practicing. And that's what I love about having different teachers in and out of the church is everyone kind of has their own spin on all of this, their own philosophy, their own fun play on it. And I think that that's why all of this is so much fun, because there's room for interpretation, just like all religions, right? Like I'm not saying that yoga is a religion, but all philosophies, right, are sort of subject to explore here, and this is our education and resource center, and that's exactly what we aim to do, learn about things that we didn't necessarily know about when we were growing up. I grew up in a very rural part of Maine. Of course, Anna, you grew up outside of the country until you were a small child. So, we come from very different backgrounds and have had very different life experiences. Common way to just work on ourselves and our healing. And, we couldn't thank you enough for the time that you give this church and for the service that you're providing. So we bow to you, my lady, and I'm going to let you take it from here because I know that my video is choppy. So I'm going to watch your beautiful show, my love, and do some yoga.
Thank you. So I wanted to revisit, I think I've spoken about the heart before, and that for me, this is it's become a very heart-guided practice, a heartfelt practice. And I want to encourage those who maybe feel intimidated trying yoga. There's a few misconceptions that I've heard, about, I think people have the misconception that yoga is religious. It's not religious, but it is very centered in connecting with your higher self, which is a way to connect with the basis of everything. I mean, it's a belief that there is a creator, and whether that's God, the universe, it's your interpretation, what you feel. There's no judgment here, or I don't bring in my own religious beliefs, but I think the common ground here is that we're all human and we're all looking for some kind of interconnectedness. And this is a really beautiful way to connect with yourself. And as you awaken through this practice, you begin to connect with others in a different way. So sometimes this practice can feel a little intimidating when you walk into a studio and you don't know what to expect. I think my tip for a beginner who has never tried it or is wanting to try it, is to look for beginner classes, look for gentle yoga. Those are always nice practices to ease into this practice with. And then also check out our videos. There's a lot of new members coming in. Check out the YouTube channel. There's lots of videos there. You can begin a practice in a chair just to get familiar with some of the movements, the breathing. But I think that that's a really non-intimidating way to practice. And to share my personal experience really quick, when I began my practice, I began with a Bikram yoga practice, which became my practice for about 5 years. And what I did as a beginner was I explored different studios. So at the time, I think they used to have 2 weeks unlimited and things like that. So I tried out different studios until I found the place where I felt comfortable. So it's really all about your comfort level. Every teacher is different, but every teacher brings something special. Sometimes you're going to jive with one teacher, another time you may not. So it's just about how it feels for you and making sure that you're getting what you want in this beginning practice. I think a beautiful way to begin is to begin with the breath. So we're going to begin by grounding in and connecting with our breath. And I'm going to sit in happy, easy pose. And I think in Sanskrit, the name of this posture and sitting cross-legged is Sukhasana. They do also call it happy, easy pose. But it's not necessarily a happy, easy pose for everybody. So you can bring a block if you have a block, or prop yourself up on a pillow to bring your hips above your knees, or a blanket is always a nice way to prop your hips above your knees. And if this really bothers you, I really highly recommend you have your blocks, because your blocks are a big support to your body. So when your body begins to feel uncomfortable, having your blocks accessible, or any type of prop, chair, really helps you get into your own body. So beginning with our breath, everyone is unique, right? So, but we're all human and all searching for the same connection. And let's begin by inviting you to close your eyes or soften your gaze. Bring the awareness inward and begin to connect to the natural rhythm of your breath. In and out the nose. Hands can rest on the lap. And depending on what it is you need today, you can ask yourself that question. Or if you already know you need some grounding today, your thoughts are going all over the place, bring your palms down to ground on your lap. If you are in a place to receive, palms up. And what does that mean? That means absorbing what comes in. You want positive energy to come in. You are open to receive. And then, of course, I always welcome mudra for the hands. Be on mudra with the index fingers and thumbs touching. 3 additional fingers extended, lightly resting on your lap. As you've settled into your breath, begin to lengthen and deepen the inhales through the nose and slow the exhales out the nose. Breathing in, filling the belly, slowly exhaling out, connecting to your breath and slowing it down. Take a moment to bring the awareness to the crown of the head and lengthen on the inhale. Reach the crown of the head towards the sky. Notice how your spine lifted. On the next breath, feel it come in, expand the belly, and let that breath ground you in. Bringing the awareness to the sits bones, grounding those sits bones into the mat or the chair. Let's take a moment here. As I've mentioned before, this is a heart space practice. So we're going to invite you to bring your hands into Anjala Mudra at the heart center. This is where I invite you to set an intention for your practice today. Remembering that it is intention that drives our actions, and it is these intentions we carry through our practice and take with us into our daily lives. All taking a deep breath in together. Slow exhale out. Swallowing at the back of our throats. Maybe licking the lips, resealing them, and coming back to your breath. Let's inhale the palms together up above the head. Stretch up, and on the exhale, float the palms down. Inhale, right arm reaches up over the ear. Take a nice stretch there. Extend the elbow and ground that left hand into the mat. And then let's float that right arm down. Ground it into the mat. On the next breath, reach up with that left arm over the left ear. Ground that right palm in. Extend the elbow, reach through the fingertips, and then let's float that arm down. From here, let's bring some movement into the body. Let's begin to circle the torso around the hips. One more round, and then come back to center and opposite direction we go. Come back to center. On the inhale, let's lead with the heart. Take the gaze up, going into a seated cow pose, and on the exhale, we're going to round in, tuck the chin towards the chest, and round the spine. Inhale, lead with the heart, take the chest forward and the gaze up. Exhale, chin moves towards the chest, round the spine. Continue back and forth, syncing your breath with the movement. This is a beautiful way to reset your week by moving the body and connecting with your breath. When you're ready, come back to center. From here, let's come into a tabletop. Let your hips stack over the knees. Shoulders are going to stack over the wrists. From here, let's bring the hips down and let's extend the hips towards the heels. And then from here, let's shift forward, gently bringing the shoulders just over the hands and then gently shifting those hips back, going back and forth. Little movement in the hips here. And then let's come back to center. From here, let's inhale, take the gaze up, going into a cow pose. And on the exhale, the chin's going to move towards the chest, and the spine is going to round. You're going to tuck the tail and really press into the mat. Inhale, take the gaze up, drop the belly, and exhale, chin moves towards the chest, rounding the spine. Remember to sync the breath with the movement. So what we're doing here is we're warming up the spine because it's very important to feel that warm up happening so that we don't injure ourselves Always keeping safety in mind first. And then once we're all warmed up, we have no problem going into our twists. All right, so let's inhale the right arm up, open up the chest, and then float that arm down. So we're going to slowly open up the chest. Inhale, left arm rises, and then float that arm back down. We're going to repeat on the right side. Inhale, float that right arm up, reach up, and then exhale, float it back down. Inhale, left arm rises, and then exhale, float it back down. Bring the hips back towards the heels on the in-breath, and exhale. Bring the shoulders just in front of the hands to shift forward. Let's do that again, shifting back and forth. And then from here, let's bring the hips around in a circular motion. It doesn't matter which way you go. You get both ways. And then going around the opposite direction. Gaze is at the top of your mat. All right. From here, really extend the arms forward as your hips touch the heels, coming into a child's pose. Arms extend forward. And then let's come back to our table. Let's extend that right leg back, press into the toes, press the heel back, pull the navel in. Gaze continues at the top of the mat. And don't forget to breathe. Bring that leg back, left leg extends. To bring the toes to ground, press the heel back. And then bring that leg back. All right, let's open up the backs of the shoulders. Inhale that right arm up, and then it's going to float down. It's going to come underneath that left arm. Right shoulder's going to come down, right temple comes down, and the left arm's going to extend forward. So just depending on your practice, some people like to feel a little bit more of an opening in the front opposite shoulder. Right now we're focusing on the left, but they like to bring their arm around and open up. So depending on your practice and what you want to feel in your body, you can position your arm, play with it, and see how you want to settle into this pose. I'm going to bring my arm back to extend forward and settle into the pose this way. Really breathe into the back body, back of the rib cage, and let it go. Okay, so let's begin to bring that left hand back towards you, and then gently press that left hand into lift. Inhale that right arm up, extend the arm up towards the sky, and then gently bring it down back to your table. Opposite side. Inhaling that left arm up, let it rise nice and high, and then on the exhale, we're going to weave it under that right arm. Left shoulder comes down, left temple comes down, and the right arm extends forward. Again, playing with the right arm depending on what you want to feel. If you want to feel the opening of the front of the right shoulder, or just keeping it simple, keeping that right arm extended. Breathing into the back rib cage as we settle in and settle into the sensations of that shoulder, that left shoulder. I'm going to walk my hand back towards me, my right hand, and gently press myself up as I inhale. Bring that left arm up, reach up, and then bring it back down to your tabletop. All right, so let's bring the hands a little bit forward. So the shoulders aren't going to stack over the hands anymore, over the wrists. So then that way we can extend forward, come into an extension, an up dog here, even though we didn't sweep up. And just gently press the hips towards the mat and then gently sway them back and forth. And then shift the hips back. So here's a wider stance with the arms extended, and then we're coming forward, sweeping up. So depending on your practice, I say sweep up because when we sweep into up dog, it's kind of like we sweep up. But really, if you don't feel like pressing with the arms, you can just definitely just shift back and forth, drop the hips towards the mat, and then shift the hips back. Breathing in as you bring the hips back, exhaling as you come forward, dropping the hips and taking the gaze up. Notice that maybe you can take a pause at the end of a breath as you bring it in. Bring the hips back, and then exhale as you shift forward. Drop the hips, take the gaze up, and then give a little shake to the hips, and then let's come back. All right. So from here, let's come back to our table. Let's curl our toes under and come into a downward facing dog. Let your fingers spread nice and wide, middle finger pointing forward towards the top of the mat. Let the gaze come towards between the ankles and take a nice deep breath in. High it out through the mouth. A few of those nice deep breaths and releases through the mouth. So heels do not have to touch the mat, but they can extend towards the mat. And let's walk our dog, bending one knee after the other. Breathing and getting into the back body. They call this opening the root door. Why? Because our root chakra is at the base of the spine. This is our safety chakra. All right, plant those palms really nice and firm into the mat. Press the hips back and let the heart reach towards the thighs. If this is creating any uncomfortable pressure in the wrists, ease off on the pressure by just gently easing off on pressing into the hands. You could use blocks or simply bring the knees down. All right, so from here, let's extend back up, walk the feet to meet the hands, come into a forward fold towards the top of the mat. Let's ragdoll here, grabbing elbow to elbow or letting the arms dangle. Taking a sway of the body. Letting the arms dangle if that feels good, or taking the bind and taking the sway. Let the head feel heavy. Let gravity do all the work as we release the lower back. Take a gaze over to the left, to the right, maybe take a nod. Inhale, let's place the hands on the shins, come to a flat back, soften the knees, meaning bring a little bend to the knees so we don't hyperextend. What is a hyperextension? A hyperextension looks like this when the knees go in the opposite direction. And so there's a hyperextension that happens here. So that can actually doesn't feel comfortable. It could if you're hypermobile, but it can injure the knees. You want a soft, soft knee here so we don't hyperextend and bring a little comfortable stance. All right, inhale, hands on the shins again. If you're not there already, I'm back. Inhale, arms come back up. Palms touch, palms come to heart. Take a nice deep breath here and exhale it out. Palms together, inhale, bring them up above the head and let's reach back. Little micro back bend here. Take a deep breath in, gently press the hips forward. And then on the exhale, let's swan dive down, soften the knees again, come to a forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins. Exhale, plant the palms. Bring that left leg back. Drop the left knee. From here, let's shift the hips back and shift the hips forward. Shifting back and forth. Again, if you have blocks and want to lift the floor, you can use them. And so you know, blocks have 3 levels. So this is one, 1, 2, and 3. So it just depends on how you want to feel the movement. Let's curl the toes under and lift that left knee. Bring the head towards the right knee. Extending that front leg. And then from here, inhale, lift the chest. Bring that right hand to the instep of that right foot. And then we're going to walk the hands to the center. We're going to pivot that left foot. Bring the feet parallel and take a bow here. Wide-legged bow. Or forward fold. Breathe. Nice and deep. Next breath, walk the hands over to the left. Hang out here for a breath. And then we're going to pivot in the opposite direction. Bring that right knee down. And then let's begin to shift back, and hip shift forward. Bring the hips back into that half split. Breathing into the sensation of the back leg or the hamstring. You can bring up the foot onto the heel or keep it flat depending on what you want to feel. Let's come back to center. Front knee stacks over the ankle. Curl the toes under that right foot. Lift the right knee and extend the hips back. That front leg extends. And then gently bring the heart towards the thigh, forehead towards the knee. Inhale, lift the chest. Exhale. Let's come down, back down. Inhale, lift the chest again. Take the gaze to the top of the mat. Bend the front knee. Bring that right knee down to ground. And then foot comes back to its flat in the back. And then shift the hips back and forth once again. Let's take us into a lizard pose. Left hand comes into the instep of that left foot. Heel toe that left foot out. Reposition your hands back to center. And then from here, we can extend that back leg. Take a peek at that back leg. Make sure that the toes are not poking inward. Sometimes we can't feel how our toes are pointing in what direction because we don't have that awareness yet. So take a peek back there and make sure that the toes align with the heel. Take a deep breath. Inhale and lift the heart. Take the gaze forward and then exhale, bend the elbows. Come to rest onto the elbows if that feels good, or you can stay nice and lifted. So it all depends on how you're going to take this into the hips and where you're going to meet your body today. Sometimes the hips are so tight, it just takes time to really sink in, and it takes multiple classes to really get into the hips. So don't, feel like you can't do it. It's just the body is where it is at the moment, but eventually you'll get there. Maybe you can take that left foot to the outer edge So here you can even stack your fists and rest your forehead on the fists, or anyway, really, you can bring a block to rest on. Let's inhale, bring the hands back to center underneath the shoulders. Bring that foot back flat if you pivoted, if you brought it to the outer edge, and then heel toe that foot back. From here, let's lift that back knee. Again, bring that left hand to the instep. We're going to walk back to that wide-legged position to center. So adjust your feet parallel to each other, and then take another bow down. Deep breaths here. So we have a tendency to hold a lot of emotion in the hips, and that is no coincidence because the sacral chakra is just below the navel. So the sacral and the root, they do hold a lot of emotions, but our emotional point is in the sacral chakra. Inhale, lift the chest here. Maybe if you have a block, lifting, using the block or tenting the fingers, and then we're going to walk our hands over to the right side. Let's pivot our feet to the top of the mat, and then again, round that left knee. Let's shift back. Shift the hips back, shift the hips forward. And then let's recenter, stacking that front knee over the ankle. Bring that right hand to the instep of that right foot and heel toe that foot out to the outer right edge of your mat. Take a nice deep breath in. And then on the exhale, take a peek at that back foot to see what it's doing. So I felt my foot, and I'm repositioning, and I'm taking a peek just to make sure that we're aligned. Take another deep breath in. Let's lift the heart, and on the exhale, we're going to come down. So you can hold here and see what it feels like to shift the hips a little bit towards the top of the mat. Breathing deeply. Beginning to release some of that tension in the hip, maybe tilting that foot on the outer edge. From here, let's bring our hands back to center to stack underneath the shoulders. Let's heel toe that foot back to center. Bring the right hand to the outside of the foot. And then from here, let's curl the toes under the left foot. Let's bring that front foot to meet the back, come into a plank. Option here to drop the knees and hold here. Or lift the knees and come into your plank. All right, let's tuck the elbows. We're going to do a little chaturanga. Bring the chest down towards the mat. Sweep up. Here's the sweep. And then come back to your downward facing dog. So we swept up into up dog, coming back to your downward facing dog. Let's lift the heels, bend the knees deeply, and take a hover. Pull the navel in. And then drop the heels, come back to your downward facing dog. Inhale, lift the heels, bend the knees, take a hover and take the gaze up towards the mat, and then walk your feet to meet your hands. Come to a forward fold at the top of your mat. Inhale, hands on the shins, come to your flat back, half lift, and root to rise. Come all the way back up, palms touch, palms come to heart. All right, take a moment here. Let's go into a tree pose. So tree pose, awesome for osteoporosis because it is weight bearing, awesome for strength and balance. So you continue these practices, you're going to get strong, you're going to get more flexible, and your balance is going to get way better. You might be able to put your sock on with one leg. All right, so feet hip distance apart, or depending on your practice, feet can come together, letting the toes touch just with a little distance between the heels. But as if you're just beginning a practice, bring the feet hip distance apart, hands come to the chest, to the heart, and we're in a mountain pose. Ground the feet in, lift the quads, pull the navel in, lift the chest, bring the shoulders back. Heart-led practice, press the heart forward, shoulders back. We're going to shift the weight over to the right side. So take a moment here to really feel that strength in the right leg, okay? Because all of the weight is going to come onto one leg. So your feet should be grounding in, quad lifted. You can even spread the toes for that grip. Kickstand that left foot onto the ankle to begin, and you can keep the toes grounded. You could stay right here. You can also begin to lift the foot, bring it onto the calf, or reach down and guide that foot to the right inner thigh. Strong leg, continuing to contract that quad. And when you have your balance, reaching, so make sure that you're focused on something that isn't moving. Otherwise, you'll get distracted and wobble, and that's okay. If you wobble out, you just get back in, reach up with your hands, and then expand the hands. If you feel safe to do that, maybe play with the balance. So if you feel wobbly, check your leg. Your leg might have a bend in the knee. The quad isn't contracting, so check the leg. Hands come back to center, and then let's bring the hands back to heart, and then let's release. All right, shake it out. So that is a hip opener as well. When the leg is in this position, the hip is opening, so the knee is falling open, and that's widening the hip stance. All right, so reposition yourself, and I'm going to reposition my mat. Hands come back to heart, and we're going to shift the weight over to that left leg. Again, focus on the point in front of you that isn't moving. Contract that thigh, shift the weight over, grip the mat with the foot, kickstand that right foot onto the ankle. Again, toes can ground, or the foot can come to the ankle, calf, or you can reach for the placement of the foot into the inner thigh. So, and it's also okay to keep a hold on the foot. Hands come to center, let them rise, reach up towards the sky. So I have wobbled out of this plenty of times. The body is different every day. So let's reach up and expand. Again, if you wobble, just get back in with a smile. It's okay. It's just practice. All right. Remember, strengthen that leg. Let's bring the hands back together, back to the heart, and release. Shake it out. So let's bring the hands to the hips. A little circular motion with the hips. Pressing forward and back, and then opposite direction. And then from here, let's bring the feet a little bit closer together. Bring the hands on the knees, and we're going to do circle with the knees. So I know this doesn't feel like anything, but you're actually strengthening the knees. this. And then go back in the opposite direction. So another misconception about chair yoga is that it doesn't do anything. It's too gentle, but that's not true. All right, from here, let's forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins. For your flat back and root to rise, come all the way back up. Let your palms touch. Palms come to heart. Take a step out, feet hip distance apart. Inhale, reach up towards the sky. And then we're going to open up the arms to the right side. Float them down. Inhale, bring the arms up. Body's going to come back to center and we're going to open up on the left side. Inhale, arms rise. Come back to center, open up on the right side. Inhale, arms come back up. Body comes back to center and open up on the left side. Inhale, arms come back up. Come back to center and swan dive down, soften the knees. Inhale, hands on the shins. And root to rise. Come all the way back up. Palms touch. Palms come to heart. All right. So let's come into a mountain pose. Hands draw towards the earth. Bring the shoulders down away from the ears. Bring the awareness to the feet. Lift the instep by lifting the quads. So when the quads tighten, the kneecap lifts. And I teach a lot of chair yoga, so I've said, lift the kneecaps, and some of my students don't have kneecaps. So lift the quad. All right. So let's bring the shoulders up to the ears and roll them back. So everybody's body is different. So no practice is going to be the same. Gazes forward, strengthen the body, lift the quads, ground the feet, pull the navel in. All right, let's release. Come to the top of the mat. If you're not there already, inhale, arms rise, look up at the palms, and let's reach back. Exhale, swan dive down for your forward fold. Inhale, hands on the shins. Come to your flat back, and then exhale, plant the palms, bring both feet back, come to your plank. Hold here. Again, option to drop the knees to hold your core in so the navel pulls into the back. If the core is collapsing, bring the knees down. Let's lift the hips, come back to your plank, and then drop that right knee. Right foot is flat, open up to the right side. Let that left foot pivot to the left, and then inhale the arm up. Take the gaze up towards the sky or straight ahead. Pull the navel in, lift the hips up, press into the mat, and then let's float that arm back down, come back to your plank, and then let's press into downward facing dog. Take a breath here and sigh it out through the mouth. All right, let's come back to our plank, shift forward, drop the left knee, let that right heel pivot inward, and inhale that right arm up. Lift the hips. Lifting the hips helps you press that left palm in, take the gaze up, and then lower that arm down. Come back to your plank. Inhale, press into downward facing dog. Sigh it out, and then shift forward back to plank. Tuck the elbows close to the body and come all the way down to the mat. Shoulders underneath, hands underneath the shoulders. We're going to go into a cobra pose. Tuck the elbows close to the body, chin on the mat. Press all 10 toes in. Inhale, press the hips into the mat, lift the chest. You can take the gaze up if that's comfortable, and then lower back down. Let's take the left cheek to the mat, and take a breath. All right, second set, bring the chin back to center. Tuck the elbows close to the body. Press all 10 toes in, hips in. As you inhale, lift the chest. Take the gaze up or straight ahead, and then lower down. Take the right cheek over to your mat and take a breather. So it's hard work. The body's working. The heart rate, this posture, Bhujangasana, is lifting the heart rate. All right, from here, let's go into a Sphinx pose. So we're gonna walk the hands further up and rest our forearms on the mat. So from here, take a peek at the feet so they're nice and flat. And from here, let's inhale, press the heart forward, and take the gaze up. Look straight ahead, curl the toes under. We're gonna lift ourselves, and we're gonna come into a dolphin pose. I know it's gonna feel a little weird. So it's gonna be like downward facing dog, but on our forearms. You can walk your feet. If you feel like they're too far away, press the heels down. And then from here, lower the knees and come into a child's pose. Option here to take a wide-legged child pose. Extend the arms forward, hips drop towards the heels, and the forehead rests on your mat. Extend both hands out. Palms are flat right now. Bring the palms now together in Anjali Mudra, prayer position. Take a nice deep breath in, bend the elbows, and bring the prayer hands to the back of your neck. Maybe they land between the shoulders, and take a breath. This is giving a little tricep stretch. Next breath, release the hands, bring them back to the mat. And then let's lift our head up to bring our hands back towards us and bring the knees closer together. Let's shift the hips to the left and swing our legs around and come into Dandasana or staff pose. Flex the feet. Notice as you flex the feet, you can leave your feet down, but more strengthen the legs. Press the calf into the mat. Lift the heels. Quads contract. And it's a really good practice to strengthen the legs. Press the heart forward, shoulders back. Gaze is forward, slightly tucking the chin. And if you have lifted the heels off the mat, bring them back down. We're going to do that again. Inhale. Press the calves into the mat. Flex the feet. Stay nice and long through the spine. And then lower the heels back down. We're going to do that one more time. Flex the feet. Press the calves into the mat. Lift the heels. Press the heart forward, shoulders back. And then relax. Beautiful. Let's bring that right leg over the left. We're going to take a nice squeeze of this leg with that left arm. Bring that right arm behind you. And then bring that left hand closer to your back. Take a nice deep breath in, lengthen through the crown, and then take the twist over to the right side. So that left hand can gently press into your back, flex the left foot, maybe take the gaze over the shoulder, and then come back to center. Release that leg, left leg over the right. Let's embrace that left knee with the right arm. Bring that left hand behind you to support your back. Take a nice Deep breath in, lengthen through the spine, pull the navel in, and take the twist over to the left side. And then maybe taking the gaze over the left shoulder, squeeze in, and then gently unwind, release, release the legs. All right. I'm going to scoot in towards the top of the mat so my head lands on the mat. Let's extend the arms forward, palms facing each other, and lean back. So feel that reach forward as you lean back, and then come all the way down, tummy tucked, all the way down, head comes down last. Beautiful. Let's bring both knees into the chest, give a squeeze. And then from here, full body stretch, arms over the head, extend the legs, reach in opposite directions, and then bring the hands by your side. Going into a bridge pose, we're going to bend the knees and bring the heels closer to your butt, your buttocks. And then hands are flat, palms are flat on the mat. Maybe those fingertips can graze the heels, but it's okay if it doesn't. On the in-breath, we're going to do 2 movements here. We're going to be, well, there's more than that, but we're going to lift the hips. As we lift the hips, so I'm going to demonstrate here. As we lift the hips, the chest is going to come towards the chin. The other movement we're going to do at the same time is lift the arms up. And then we're going to float everything back down. All right, so I'm just adjusting myself. Hands flat. Take an inhale and lift the hips up. Arms come up. Chest moves towards the chin, and on the exhale, everything is going to come down. I just found out today that this posture here, just moving the body, is actually really good for plantar fasciitis. And then float the arms down. Inhale, everything lifts. Hips lift, chest moves towards the chin, and arms come up over the head. And then exhale, everything down. We're going to do 2 more of those. Inhale, everything lifts. Exhale, lower down. Last one. And then lower down. All right, supine pigeon. Let's bring that right ankle to the left thigh into a figure 4. Bring the arms underneath that left thigh, maybe taking a bind, interlacing the fingers. Flex that right foot, flex that left foot, and on the next breath, gently bring that left thigh towards you. Tuck the chin. If you want to assist the right leg, you can press your elbow into the inner thigh of that right leg. So into the right inner thigh. Breathe into the sensations. Bring the shoulders towards the mat. Gently bring that thigh towards you a little bit more. Breathing through the sensations. And let's release. Release the bind. And release the leg. Hands by your side. Let the knees windshield wiper back and forth. And take a nice deep breath. Bring the knees back to center. And then let's take the left ankle onto the right thigh. We're going to flex that foot, bring the hands underneath that right thigh, lift that right leg, interlace the fingers underneath the right thigh. Flex both feet, ready. Inhale, take a nice deep breath in. Pull that thigh towards you, gently and slowly. Tuck the chin. Shoulders move towards the mat. So another tip, I guess, in thinking about my beginner experience, is don't feel bad about doing what you can do. Everyone does what they can do, and you should just feel comfortable where you are. And the teacher should always meet you where you are and not have those expectations. That's how I feel about it. All right, flex both feet, pull the thigh towards you, take another deep breath in, and release everything. Bring both feet back flat, bend the knees, and gently windshield wiper the knees back and forth. All right, so here, let's bring our arms to a T. Let the knees drop over to the right side. Take that right ankle and bring it on top of the right thigh, if that feels good to you, or you can just stay right here. Take the gaze over to the left fingertips. If you want to feel a stretch into the chest a little bit more, into the underarms, you can angle the arms up a little bit higher. And then let's bring the legs back to center, release. And then arms can stay in a T. Let's windshield wiper the legs again. And then drop the knees over to the left side. Gaze goes over to the right fingertips. And maybe that left ankle comes over to the outside of the right thigh. And breathing normally and deeply. All right, from here, let's release. Release the legs. Windshield wiper again. Side to side. And then let's extend the arms and the legs. Arms come up over the head, full body stretch. Legs, stretching legs and arms in opposite directions. And then again, let's bring that both knees into the chest. Give a nice squeeze. Shoulders reach down towards the mat. Tuck the chin. Flex the feet here or relax the feet. Full body stretch again. And then lower the arms down by your side and take a rest. So you are welcome to stay here as long as you want. I am going to roll over to my left side and gently press myself up to seated. But I want you all to stay in your Shavasana. So I'm going to close out this class while you all relax in your Shavasana, because we're coming to the top of the hour. Bring your prayer hands up to your third eye if you're seated, as a reminder to think kind thoughts down in front of our lips, to speak kind words, and back down in front of our hearts as a reminder to live heart-centered from my heart to yours. Thank you so much for joining me today in this mid-week reset. Namaste.